Hey folks, this is One for the Road, a John Caldwell podcast exploring Mississippi highway issues and infrastructure challenges. Here there's one person and one voice standing up for the road you travel, the road less traveled, the road in most need, and ultimately the road ahead. Each episode we will shed some light on the who, what, when, and why mysteries that leave many of us scratching our heads, searching for better answers. This is Commissioner John Caldwell. Thanks for listening to One for the Road. Episode 10. Make Mississippi Highways Great Again. Welcome back. This is our 10th and final episode from the first season of One for the Road with John Caldwell. During this episode, I'll get out of my lane just a bit. National politics reached a feverish pitch this year. The campaign seems to have taken longer than getting a highway turn lane built or a traffic light approved. But sadly, those two things actually take longer than a political campaign or a full presidential election cycle. Nationally, transportation infrastructure was not even close to the top 10 hot-button issues. Neither highways nor multimodal transportation were listed in the top 10 or even 20 issues of the top presidential candidates. Just look at their websites and you'll see what I'm talking about. It wasn't the top issue on the minds of voters either, if you believe opinion polls. Transportation is simply not the flavor of the day. Maybe it's because there's no immediate crisis or pending doom. In the pay me now or pay me later world, it seems everyone wants to pay later. Still, nearly everyone demands improvements now. Absent a disaster of epic proportions, transportation will never rival some of the politically charged issues in terms of national attention, or even our state's hot-button issues for that matter. And yet, transportation is interwoven into all our lives. Heck, you or they couldn't even have gotten to a Trump rally or some leftist protest site without transportation. The economy was number one, and other top issues traded places up and down the political priority list, depending on your age, gender, political leanings, education, income levels of those wanting to express their opinions. The list goes on and on. Issues like energy, democracy, national security, Supreme Court picks, immigration, health care, gun violence, rights of women, rights of life for the unborn, taxes, education, crime, housing, Social Security, and Medicare got batted around a bit. Other issues got some attention, like debt and deficits, tariffs, child care, long-term care, climate, civil rights, freedom, safety, justice, human trafficking, illegal drugs, especially fentanyl, which overtook opioids on the top of the substance abuse conversation, got a fair share of discussion. Constitutional issues like freedom of speech and religion, as well as our right to bear arms, were discussed, but maybe not as much as some years. So where does transportation infrastructure fit into the picture? It would seem to be nowhere. Except thankfully, President-elect Donald Trump raised the importance of our national transportation infrastructure boldly in his acceptance speech at the Republican National Convention. And during his long rally speeches, he would mention it too. Other than that, you'll only hear of it if a massive cargo ship takes out a major bridge or if a train derailment includes a hazardous chemical. Then it's a national crisis, until it isn't anymore, and we quickly forget. We go on about our lives dodging potholes and letting GPS reroute us around some of the bigger capacity problems. Transportation, when our republic was founded, hinged on getting people and goods to America. Everything traveled by ship. That was the 1700s. In the 1800s, national transportation infrastructure revolved around westward expansion. Railroads became the greatest means to that end. By the 1900s, cars and trucks demanded more and better roads. Eventually, a national highway and interstate system was envisioned, planned, and built. By the end of the century, worldwide air travel augmented a truly intermodal transportation network of shipping, rail, roads, and air, which pushed phenomenal global economic expansion. Despite fascinating advances in technology, the 2000s have yet to rival previous centuries in defining a better direction for transportation infrastructure, or infrastructure funding for that matter. Our skyrocketing debt and deficit spending makes a transformative national infrastructure plan impossible. It's similar at the state level, except we don't face crippling debt and deficits. Our state debt is minimal and we don't spend more than we can generate. More changes are on the horizon. Electric cars are relatively new, but only add to our challenges. Self-driving cars and trucks will increase the expectations and ultimately the cost of making that viable on our highways. Our highways and bridges and departments of transportation shoulder a predictable burden. Stifling regulations and inflationary pressures need to end now in order for America and Mississippi specifically to move ahead. When the election memories fade and the celebrations and tears are over, we need to get back to the business of improving a deteriorating transportation infrastructure across our great nation. Let's get started in Mississippi. We need more basic maintenance. We need huge projects like a substantial stretch of the proposed Interstate 69, a proposed commercial corridor intended and already authorized by Congress to connect all of North Mississippi from Mexico to Canada through the Mississippi Delta. And we need a lot in between. We have large and small, even medium-sized needs, as well as short-term and long-term challenges. Our vision needs to be all-inclusive, although reality checks will require us to better prioritize, and some things will simply have to wait. Obviously, everything cannot and will not resolve itself. That said, we can't nor should we rely on the federal government to make Mississippi highways great again. Our state highways are our responsibility. Many are such that they don't qualify for federal funds anyway. So we must better fund our state highways with state dollars. Yes, that means putting highways ahead of other needs and wants in Mississippi. There hasn't been enough political will to do that yet. My guess is that highway funding remains down the list until it becomes more painfully obvious to everyone. That will be a sad day when we realize that we're not nearly as proactive as we like to think we are. Thanks again for listening. New podcast episodes will be shedding more light on unique transportation challenges across Mississippi. If you've enjoyed this and are ready for more, please hit the like button below, make a comment, place a review, or share this podcast with a friend. And join our following on Commissioner John Caldwell Facebook page. Until next time, slow down, drive in the right lane, and watch out for that pothole.